I'm Brandon.
And I'm Jesse.
We're Cannabis School. Having cannabis-infused conversations
With everyday people,
cannabis companies,
celebrities,
and your mom.
welcome
To the Sesh.
Welcome back to the Sesh. This is a great Thursday because we get to be able to have a fun discussion. We've been loving all the interaction we've been getting with you guys. Keep sending us ideas,
And all the
please.
comments below. It's dope. I love that Spotify lets us have all of that interaction.
I love getting the notification on my phone, and then
Oh,
I
yeah.
read it right away, and it's either you or I. It's now a race to it, and But the cool thing is we can just keep commenting on there. We can keep a thread going. So if you want to have like little discussions with us, hey, by all means, hit us up.
Yeah, and I'm not sure yet. We'll have to find out. I wonder if other people can comment in that continuous thread.
That would be cool.
We'll have to see.
That would be way cool.
Who knows?
So today we're going to be talking about improving your brain and your consciousness. And, we were talking right before we got on. What are some of your thoughts on that?
Well, I was going to say, I still think improving your consciousness is improving your brain. Because when you're working on the one, you are technically still helping the other.
No, I do. And the reason why I say that, Mogadot, who... engineering happiness, things like that. He's great books that he has on happiness, but he has this thing where he tells his brain is like it's like Susan or something, and I have found that helps me in many ways because the consciousness is like where the thoughts and ideas and all these things, like your personality, that's where I think they come from. But the brain can influence that, absolutely. But I think of the brain as the organ that runs all the rest of this machine. It's telling everything to do all the other stuff. How can it do that and my consciousness be writing at the exact same time? It's cool. But you can improve both of them. That's the way I see it. But
You can definitely, I think, work on just your brain and tools to like improve just your brain.
Yeah.
But I don't know if there's a way to work on your consciousness without it helping your brain, though.
Oh, no. I mean, definitely it will influence those things. But I'm just saying, like, if it's just scholastic, just trying to get smart, like...
Well, it's only going to be your brain.
Well, and it's a perishable trait, too, dude. It's like...
Well, it's knowledge. If you don't use it, some things we retain and some random facts we retain, we don't necessarily remember everything that we ever learned. Every math equation, every like formula we studied, every process and thing that we learned. It's like a lot of things we might take with us and go, oh, I remember this fact or like this thing or, and the things that are important or have seemed to matter. Most of those processes and things we retain and take with us because it's stuff we use. But I know there's tons of equations and things that I learned throughout math that I have no idea to this day what they are or how to do them or, things I learned in science about genome and species and all this stuff that I truly don't remember. Same with chemistry, like some things that I studied that I'm like, I couldn't tell you.
Well, anything that's perishable, like if it's a learned trait, it takes a long time to imprint. And then after that, you really can't. You can add to it by practicing more and more. But then it just becomes muscle memory. But even after so much time, you won't be the same. Like, people that said that, like you talk to a special forces guy that, used to be out there running and gunning. And then now he's back in the civilian life. He may go shoot on the weekends if he gets time because now he's got a busy ass job. And it's going to go away. It's just going to go away. And that's where I see like a learned skill like that. Like you said, perfect example is math or anything like that. Like how many of you have gone to college? How many of you just, you got out of high school and that was it, but you still learned a trait. And it's because you do it every day that it becomes so memorable that it becomes in the muscle memory and you'll just be able to do it almost mindlessly. So that's where it becomes part of more of a brain function because
it's in your subconscious.
Yeah,
it does it.
It's automatic.
Yeah, and so that's when it's nice if you can create these like imprinting or good things that are good habits, good patterns, and create those and have your subconscious doing those.
Yeah,
because then it's automatically creating and doing all these things for you that you're just like it's second nature at that point.
So you talk a lot about meditation, and on your other podcast, I know that you're really about like the mental health aspect, but really being centered. We've had many discussions before, and it's like you have this really strong importance that focuses on meditation. Can you tell me why that's so important for you?
Yeah, because meditation basically for me has calmed the racing thoughts. And I honestly, I started doing a little bit of meditation. I don't know if I did it at all before I was separated and going through divorce. I honestly don't remember if I started doing it when I was still married. I think it was after we split. And to me, that was because that was when I experienced more anxiety and more depression than I had ever experienced in my life at that time. My thoughts I couldn't control. I was just run by my thoughts, by emotions, and it sucked. It wasn't a great life, and I found that meditation actually helped calm the mind. It helped calm these thoughts that were racing, questioning, all this self-doubt, all these past experiences that were gone, didn't exist anymore. They were way in the past, or moments that never would exist because it was all these imaginary futures that I created in my head.
Okay.
So I never was in this moment because I was in imaginary future that wasn't a reality, or I was in a past that didn't exist anymore. So an unimaginary reality.
Yeah.
I was not in this reality.
Isn't that crazy? Like when you really break that down, like everything that just happened an hour ago is no longer here.
Yeah.
It's
It doesn't
gone.
exist. And it's crazy because we hold so much to these things of like, crap, this mistake, this thing I did, that moment is stuck with me and I hang on to that moment. Why is that one moment defining me?
Yeah.
Why am I hanging on to that one moment? Why do I not see every other moment that I have existed in, that I have done, that I have, been part of?
Yeah, and that's where now I start to see the blending of the consciousness and the mind to be more of this is how it crosses over, because your emotions, which are it's not real. It's a perception. It is a perception.
Your emotions are a feeling, and
Exactly.
that comes from a thought. So it's whatever that thought is at that moment dictates your feeling.
But it also, yeah, exactly. And if it dictates to you specifically, it doesn't mean
so if you change that thought that you're having, you can change the feeling you're having.
Yeah, and that's one of the hardest things to be able to try and even get close to controlling.
Oh, it is.
And that's one of the things that,
But that's why I meditate, because it's allowed me to find more of that, and cannabis, but that's allowed me to find more of that time to respond instead of react. Because I know that when I follow my thoughts and they lead me to feelings of feel good.
Whoa.
Yeah. So this is it's been a minute since we've used George Jetson. We've been in Smokeless September. And this is a re-entry. Now, this is still the smoothest bong I feel that we've ever had, but
There's probably a lot of myrcene in that. Or
it is.
caryophyllene.
Those are the two top terps are myrcene and caryophyllene.
Oh my gosh.
And then alpha-pinene, limonene, humulene.
Yeah, I can definitely get the pinene. But
Yeah, because we're back on blackberry spice for the sesh today.
Ooh, blackberry spice is so good.
Yeah, I love that one.
No, I love that, when you explained meditation, because, I come from, that's a weird taste.
Right? Right now, in the back of the throat?
In the mouth, too.
Yeah.
It tastes like a cleaner.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. I didn't taste like that when we did it through the vaporizer, though.
Nope.
Smokeless September.
Nope.
Huh.
But this is really nice. It actually is like, it brought me back up. Anyways, that's weird taste. Sorry, I stopped that thought. But it's really interesting because, thinking back through all the things of being able to try and control your emotions, a lot of this comes from us wanting to have control. It's this fear that we have of loss and failure. And
I don't know if it's wanting to control the emotion. I think it's not wanting to be controlled by the emotion. Because when we find that we are pulled and allowing ourselves to be drawn out of our peace, out of our normal state from an emotion that's off of a thought, I think that is allowing it to disrupt our thing.
yeah, no, and that's this thing, like, for me, what really works, because, like, meditation for me, I'm going to go back. Meditation for me, the earliest things I have with that one was martial arts. But in all honesty, all the martial arts I've learned where we do these meditative practices all felt like complete bullshit. I never felt centered. I didn't feel like I was like, I felt centered because I knew that I could be able in a violent interaction, because it's been tested and I've had my ass beat in these classes. Like, my martial arts journey wasn't mats and protective gear. It was concrete floor and get really good at not getting hit. And that was awesome. That was like a traditional martial arts kung fu school that I went to. That's how we did it. And
What types of meditation did you guys do there?
a lot of different type of breathing. So there is which is crazy because I didn't even think about it until I really just sat down. I was thinking, like, one of the best things that I loved about when I did Kung Fu was, and the system that I learned was Wing Chun. And there may be some chunners out there, and some people are like, that's bullshit martial art. You know what? All of them have good, and it just depends on who's using them and what you're using it for, right? But the meditative practice we did was a breathwork routine. And you would go through this first form called Silam Tao. And as you're going through it, you would curl your tongue, press it to the roof of your mouth. You could only breathe through your mouth. And you would pull in, and it was so sharp. And then you would exhale the same way by pressing the tongue to the roof of your mouth, going shh. And it was so, it was like, you could probably do the same thing. They have these like devices to make your lungs stronger. And so you put it in there and you just breathe through that thing, and it like makes it difficult. Boss Rutan, he created this thing, right, dude? And Boss is like one of my heroes in the martial arts world, like bar none, one of the biggest guys there. We're going to have one of my martial art heroes on this podcast, fellow cannabis consumer. But where was I going? Anyways, the breathing, when you're going through this, you become incredibly aware of everyone around you. And then while you're doing it, because everybody would be doing it, you'd have like 40 people in one room. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't a big room. Like, you were bumping into people while you were training. And when you're doing this, you begin to
convulse.
Yeah. And it's crazy. But
interesting.
We would do this whole routine. It would take you anywhere from about 30 to 45 minutes to complete the form.
Oh, wow.
I can do the form still to this day. I can do first two forms really well. But when you do this first form, I can do it in a matter of like 3 minutes. The complete form. When you stretch it out to 45 minutes, it's like you allow your body to be able to dictate why it should move and how fast it should move. So you just focus on the breathing, and then your hand just starts to move slowly. And you just keep going through it. And you go through this, and that was the only time that I experienced true meditation. And then after that,
except for the breathing one you did with Adam.
Yeah, that was psychedelic.
But that is a form of meditation.
Yes, exactly right. And so that's the only meditation that I learned in martial arts that actually worked. But all the other ones was like sitting there and cross-legged and putting my hands together like this, like we're some fucking ninjas.
See, none of that like truly matters, I feel like, with the perfect form and that.
Exactly. No,
it's more about learning to kind of like you said, the mind and the consciousness are separate. And so it's kind of looking at it sometimes of going, I can separate myself from the brain.
Yeah. Like I
And
thought
let
of
it go in distance and go, the mind is having its thoughts. That's fine. It's allowed that. Now I'm going to bring it back to not allowing the brain to control it and following the brain and what it's doing, but centering myself back on my body, the thoughts, one of the tools. Like I have a lifetime subscription to probably many meditation apps.
Yeah.
I bought one years ago and it was on Apple. And then
What's your favorite one right now?
I've used Calm for years. I have Calm for years that I've used. Mind Valley is more a course that I haven't fully finished. And that's, they just have a meditation in there that I really like. And it's a meditation for accessing theta state, which is basically your mind is in that. I think it's like right after you wake up or like in the first 5 minutes. It's supposed to be easier to learn in, all these other things. Children are usually in that state until like the age of 7 or 8. So that's why they learn easier. They can pick things up quicker. They're just in this theta state more often. And as we get older, we stop doing that.
Wow.
So I've really enjoyed that one. I'll do that meditation sometimes. Calm is just one that I use regularly, but there's one that is, it was like one of the apps of the year or something on Apple this year, and it's called Insight Timer.
Oh,
I haven't
cool.
messed around with that one much yet, but I did get that on my phone recently. And then Emily uses one called Balance, and she just sent me a free year of that one to try. So I have lots of different ones, and Calm I just have a lifetime subscription to because I found that I can pay $60, $70 a year. But even if I go with meditation, it's a practice.
Correct.
Just like the gym, just like martial arts, just like anything, an instrument. And there's times maybe in life that we're more in it. Our practice is like we're more daily with it or more on a regular schedule. And then there's other times in our practice that we're busier and we don't get to it as often. And it might be a couple weeks. And then we get back into it. And that's the practice of anything. I feel like, it's the mastery of anything. It's not in the perfectionism, it's in the process.
Yeah, and that's and I'm glad that you defined it that way for me because, for me, like I said, my first introduction to any type of meditative practice was martial arts. And then, it wasn't until I was around 12 when I started Kung Fu that I actually got to experience that, which was cool.
Yeah.
And it was once a month we would do that. And it was like the most excruciating and rewarding thing ever. It was painful.
Yeah.
Because you're in one and then when you start convulsing and your muscles are contracting,
yeah, I'm sure
like
that's
pulsing,
wild.
it was nuts. And you're sweating profusely.
Oh, I can imagine.
You're not even moving
No,
much.
but it's the holding the muscles and the slight movement of
and
it.
the breathing,
Yep.
you're heating up. And
yeah.
dude, you drive your body temperature way high. And it's pretty cool because it's done in a room. And the coolest thing was they put these like glass bowls and they would hit it, fill with water, and then they'd run around that one. We had to keep it going.
Interesting. Okay.
So we'd be
like the bowl that I have in my front room.
Yeah. But no, I was thinking about it, like what you said, and I'm glad that you said it that way. It's like you have to be able to find, like, it's not so much about what you're doing as far as like a movement or a position or anything like that. I can see why somebody would do that because for them.
Well, that's their practice and that's what's worked.
Right.
Everyone finds their practice, but I think it's the consistency. It's the showing back up. It's like going to the gym. If you went once, hey, well, I didn't see results. Well, yeah, you went once. What do you expect? Well, I went twice. Okay, but this is a practice. You have to show up regularly, and then it just becomes more of like, and this is what I've noticed with meditation. It's not what I notice is there. It's what I notice is gone. So when I'm meditating, I'm like, oh, I don't notice this. Well, yeah. I'm just noticing I'm not as anxious. I'm not as stressed. My thoughts aren't thinking about this as much. I'm not quite as I'm not quite as reactive. I'm finding that time in my mind to allow myself to respond. Yeah. And It's not always, because again, it's a practice. Being human is an experience where no one's perfect. It's not a perfectionism. It's just looking at our process and going, what am I doing? How am I showing up?
Yeah.
What is this affecting me long term? Like, are there things I'm doing that benefit me? Kind of like movement. Movement is massive for our minds. How often, especially when our mental health, our mind is not great, how often are we feeling like we're wanting to move?
Oh yeah, I mean your body starts to force it after some time. No, and I like what I wanted to say that I really like what you just described for me, because that was by far the best way that meditation has been explained to me on that side, because it means that I don't need to be doing something particularly. I just need to be able to allow my mind to enter in a state of calm and focus and just relaxing and allowing everything to kind of just materialize for you, because you can work through a lot of issues that way.
A lot of it is people getting frustrated too. Meditation didn't work. Well, why didn't work? Well, I couldn't focus. I couldn't relax. Okay, well, that's okay.
That's why they
But
have the apps
you notice that.
to try and help enhance that feeling, right? That's all it's doing.
Yeah, because it's like
it's guiding you. It's like telling you, like, here, just follow me.
And it's okay. Like, because even I've been doing it probably 10 years now,
Yeah.
off and on through this practice. And there's times that I feel like it's working great. And there's times, even like last week, when I sat down and the entire meditation, my mind didn't stop moving. And I couldn't stop my mind. But it was just because I was so stressed and everything was going on. But it was fine. I still sat down. At the end of the meditation, I didn't feel like I had mastered my anxiety or my stress for that day. But I felt like I had shown up and I had done my practice and that I gave it my best that day. And then that was fine, because at least I showed up. And then the next day I did it. And I think it was better that day. But there's always some days that are better and some days that are worse. Some days that I'm like, oh, I really want to do this. And other days that I'm like, I don't want to. Like, I need to. I'm sure I need to.
Right.
It's like working out. God, I wish I had that same mentality with my workout routines. Of like, hey, I need to move my body, because for mental health, that is one of the best things. Meditation is great. It's a tool. But it's the same with like eating and dieting, or, using cannabis as a tool. There's all these things we can use as tools. They're all out there.
Well, and especially what, thinking about, and that's where I was going to go, is that cannabis it allows me to enter into that meditative mind state, to allow me to be able to go through it. The one thing that I can add to it that has helped me to be more self-aware, which is really like, I never really understood it until I achieved it for myself. Going, fuck.
Because it's hard to take a step back
And look at yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
And it's
like,
not like
truly.
I hate myself.
No. But it's so hard for us to actually look at ourselves, because we always look at ourselves usually like objectively from one angle or another, but like to totally step back
Yeah.
and see like ourselves from outside, and just
Right.
it's an interesting, it can be hard in moments, but then you like learn to love and see you for the person.
Well, and that's one of the things, like I'm able now to, because I just love how you're able to describe how the meditative practice, where it takes you to be able to do that, because we all can meditate our own way. The way that I've been doing meditation, unbeknownst to myself until this very moment, I realized what it is. And one of the biggest things that has helped me with that one is, one, cannabis is great for my mind to slow down. And then the other part has been learning about who I am and through my shape, right? So that, and why I say that is because, and why I have this belief of the mind, the brain, my brain and my consciousness are separate. One can drive the other. And how you can do that one, if it's just purely on function. These are those people that are like carnivore diet, ice bath, red light therapy on every fucking peptide
Going
out
to
there.
the gym all the time.
Constantly.
Yep.
Right? That guy's 50 years old, but his body looks like he's getting ready to be up on Mr. Olympia stage.
Yeah, it's
You're
insane.
like, what the fuck? Right? But it takes me a place now where I'm able to look at myself very objectively, very quickly, going, why are you afraid? Because it's a fear, not necessarily in the way that, and this has taken me a little while to understand that fear isn't necessarily the thing or the activity or whatever it is that you're afraid of. It doesn't mean that. Like, I'm afraid of spiders. Like, fear is something that will keep you from advancing a relationship, your job, your health.
No, I think more of like an underlying root than like,
correct.
I'm afraid of not having money, of being, this. So I have this type of, or something along that versus like you said, spiders.
Or heights, even deeper than money, because where's it, the way that Kim Giles explains it is that you have either a fear of failure or a fear of loss. And what that means is the fear of failure is being seen like a failure, feeling like you are a failure, thinking that everybody is only going to know you as a failure in anything you do. I'm a bad parent. I'm a shitty worker. I'm a horrible friend. Like, these are things that we all feel constantly, but we never will face because we're not self-aware. We see ourselves, typically, this is the way I believe it. So I believe that we see ourselves like through a movie. We're watching a movie constantly. We're not really aware of ourselves.
No, probably not.
And when we watch a movie, we forget who we are and we join that story. And every day we move out into the world and we're just like, this is the story. And this is cool. I go to the supermarket. Oh, that lady's fucking weird. And that guy smells. And
because we pick up roles through our whole life.
Right.
Like, this is who I am. This is the label I am. This is what I am. Like,
correct.
And this is who I need to be. And it's like, it was interesting. It was actually the other show that made me think about this. I don't know if it was in, it might be in one of the million recordings that might never air. But it was,
I think they should.
It was a realization of like, fucking marijuana.
Everybody's laughing right now, dude. They're laughing right now. They're like,
goodness.
oh shit, I know that.
This is terrible. Okay, let me see where my mind was going with that. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, so I'll see if I've triggered it. If it triggers it, we'll stop and you go right into it because I know how it is. But that's the one thing that I really liked about this is that I know that there's and the fear of loss is not necessarily like I'm going to lose somebody or I'm going to lose money. It's the idea of what happens if that happens, right? To me, emotionally. And my perception, my shape is I kind of have both of them. Typically, we're more dominant in one or the other. And this has been compiled over so many years where, I just did it again with somebody at work and I just went through her entire life. And I'm like, you do this, you do this, you do this. Because there's even little traits. It's like a tick. And these are just things that we picked up. It's just like what we were talking about. We see the world as a movie. We don't see it as us, as the protagonist, as the hero that comes into the story.
The main character, yeah.
No, not at all. That's why it's so fun to play video games because we get to feel like we're in control.
Yeah. We're the main character.
Notice that, right? Just that weird part right there, that realization. We get to be the hero.
That's so weird.
Like, we get to live vicariously.
But yeah, we could in this life.
Exactly.
We just have to fucking wake up and be present.
But that's the hardest thing is to be self-aware.
Yeah.
Because we don't have an identity. We learn that, I got to keep up with Johnny or Jane. And they are the quintessential, like, good-looking, fit, popular, fucking rich parents, all this shit, like you aspire that to be a real thing.
Yeah.
But you've learned that over time, that's all fucking make-believe. None of that is real.
Oh, yeah.
And when I make a mistake now, I own it fast because it's not me seeing the movie anymore. It's me being in the movie. So now I see myself, and now I'm more conscious of what I do. I'm more conscious of who I talk to. That's why I told you, like, I just don't judge anymore. I don't. I really don't judge at all. Not because of Christian beliefs or anything. It's because I see people the way that she said it, and this is why it's so attractive to me, is that you are perfect the way you are. That's just the way you're wired. There's nothing I can do to change who you are, nor should I try. But it would be better if I understood how you're wired, how it's like you're an electrician.
That's a great human approach.
Right.
But if that's how everyone approached humans, we would not have an us and a them. We would just see humanity. And we would care about the people and connect with the people because that's truly what we care about.
Totally.
You know, and we would start, but at that point, it requires just being aware in general, self-aware, aware of other people, like aware. And we live in a world of subconscious and phones.
I was going to ask you, because I know that, you know, throughout our tumultuous, I couldn't even say that right. Tumultuous?
I don't know. I'm going to butcher that too.
Really fucking hard time in life that we've had for the last several years. But it hasn't been the hardest time. We've been able to take that energy of struggle, of trying to figure out what the fuck do I do? Who am I? What do I do? Right? I love it how I meet some 20-something-year-old guy that has to try and prove to somebody, you know, guy or gal or whatever, and they are like, I am this, you know, I am my car, I am my bank account, I am not me. I'm not me. I'm not important enough to be me. And through your journey of which I've loved this. Now I truly live this in my life. I just go, what has been the good from this pain? And there's progress through pain. I don't let things like a deal that fell through kill me anymore. I don't have money at this very moment make me go into the darkest, deepest parts of my body going, you're a fucking piece of shit because you couldn't do it. And the cool thing is I still feel that way sometimes, like you do. Like we talked about it this week, right? We're like, what the fuck was up with Tuesday?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Right?
It was a weird-ass day.
Complete piece of shit. And it was just
However,
hard.
yesterday, I actually was productive. I got everything on my calendar accomplished that I was like, all right, this is what I'm going to do. I followed it. I did everything. And I found extra time throughout the day that I was like, hey, look at this.
Dude, see, and that's a cool thing too, because you telling me about that, I start to associate now that I can be in a meditative state anytime I want. And you knowing that this is what I need to do, but even having that self-accountability, which you value more than somebody, because it just feels like a parent who tells you you're not good enough.
Oh, yeah. And it's like, I feel like that was childhood. I am way better at holding myself accountable, going, or like being micromanaged at work. I'm sorry, you need to come and watch everything I do. I am way more productive than any of these fuckers here if you just let me work.
No, and again, it's what I love about now, where I see the world through this lens of shapes. Now I just see them and I'm like, oh, you have some personality. Oh, and then I test it and I go,
see how they react?
And I just go, hey, can I ask you something? And they're like, yeah, like I met a triangle. And I go, how do you dress when you're not in business, man? What are you into? Oh, dude, I'm like really into like, you know, those like medieval fairs and stuff like that. He's
funny.
like, he gets all done up.
Preston and Kaylee do.
They go to
stuff.
what's that? Oh, and they also do like Comic-Con and stuff like that, don't they?
Yeah, I think so.
And that's cool.
For Fat Necks.
But that's for them. It's like, It's really involved.
Yeah, and they love that. I think it's great for them.
But even then, like, they're in a meditative state because now they feel good. They're able to center themselves because that's the only time that they can create their real identity, because now they can actually form it. And that's why, what's what I think about when you're talking about meditation. That's what it's been able to do for you more, where you can see yourself in those moments. Like, I do that now where I talk to myself. Like, I had something hard going on at work, and it was really hard to face because I fucked up. And I'm quick to admit now. I'm like, yep, I fucked up. That was
It's okay to
my
make
fault.
mistakes.
Totally. But it was overwhelming to me, and I didn't know why. But then I was able to figure it out, because now I go, what's going on, dude? What's fucking with your values? What's fucking with your fear right now? Why are you doing this? And I talk to myself, and I'm like, why don't you want to go up there and talk to him? Because you're afraid that they're going to say that you're not valuable anymore, and you need that reassurance, and that you're also no longer needed here. And now, worse than losing the money, you have actually lost their respect. And that hit me like a ton of bricks while I'm driving up. And I'm like, that's why. And then my consciousness goes into my mind saying, you're not a piece of shit. You fucked up, but you admitted it, and we're going to learn from it, and we're going to move on. And stop being in this state, because this isn't real right now. What you're feeling is sorry for yourself.
Yeah.
Because you are trying to watch you in a movie.
Well, it's all the thoughts that you're spiraling down, and that's what's making you fearful, and that's why you're feeling sad or down.
Because it's the most real state. When we're doing good, we don't see us in a movie.
No. It's interesting because when I'm feeling that, it's when I'm driving and when a song comes on. It doesn't have to be a specific song. It can just
triggers.
I can be triggered because I am not stuck. Like, I'm in the car, I'm driving, but like my thoughts thinking about all this stuff with my kids.
Yeah.
It's thinking about all this stuff in the past with like everything like that. And I start feeling sad. I start feeling like, I start tearing up, and it's like, okay, but right now, am I stuck in my thoughts? Because right now, this second that exists, this second I'm in my car, this song is playing, like whatever, it's rainy, it's sunny, it's whatever, I'm okay in this moment. This very second that reality exists in, I am okay. I'm just being chased by these thoughts that I'm allowing myself to go down.
Yeah,
and sometimes that's okay. It's okay to feel that, because you need to feel that.
Yeah.
But it's not okay to get stuck. And, well, we have these people die. It's okay to experience things as long as we need to. I don't think it's anyone else's decision to go, hey, I think you're done feeling that. But I think it's when we don't realize that that's what we're doing, that we're not realizing, hey, I am feeling this moment, and this is something I need to do, but it's also something that I can let go. Yeah. And I can choose to move forward. Not that I have to, because sometimes you have to feel that. You have to feel like, and who knows how long that is. I've not lost a parent. I've not lost like a kid or something. Yeah. I don't know what that.
I don't know what that's going to be like.
I don't know what that is like.
Yeah.
And I can imagine that stays with you every day.
Oh,
that
yeah.
It never goes away. That it just, sometimes it's like I can think about Finn being in Texas and the struggles that he's going through and like all the shit with my ex. And I can go into a really shitty spiral and feel really bad like that. Or I can choose to go like, well, this very second, what is this second? Well, this second I'm sitting here with my best friend. I'm sitting on a couch. I've got some great cannabis in me. I'm having a conversation. Like this moment is not that. I don't have to choose, because that's what it is. I'm choosing to follow these thoughts, because I can also choose to think about all the things that they're doing in life that make them happy, all the things that they're doing that are bringing value to their life and making them grow as a person. And that can bring me happiness. Well, that's just a thought. I'm still thinking about even the same person.
Yeah.
But all it did was change the thoughts that I was thinking in that moment about it. And that's what I had to do, is like, even when my kids were gone, I can choose to feel this thought, this heartache of them moving Or I can think about the moments that I've held them close and I've shared wonderful moments with them, and that's what I can think about. And I can feel the happiness that I feel in that moment. Or I can feel the other.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's necessary because, like, man, no, I just, like, fuck, I probably need to cry this out because as dudes, how often do we just, like, hold it back?
Yeah, I used to. Quite a bit. And I appreciate you being able to be open about that because it's really difficult. It really is. Not necessarily just being men, but it's the idea that we got to keep our shit together because everybody's looking at us. And if we freak out, they're going to freak out because they'll be like, oh shit, if he's upset, everything. Because I've been thinking a lot about that. Like, why do we have this thing where we can't show emotion in front of each other as men?
Well, it's just crying. We can show emotion. Men show emotion all the time.
No, I mean,
and I thought about that. I was like,
crying.
man, we don't let ourselves get emotional in the fact that we open up and that we cry.
We're being sensitive.
We get angry.
Yeah,
and that's an emotion that we do all the time. But to allow ourselves to be emotional, it sucks because, like, I was talking with Addie the other week, and I don't know if she saw me cry or if we were just talking about it. And she's like, yeah, you don't like ever cry. And I was like, oh, no, I do. I definitely cry. When you guys leave or like when I, like, through these moments, I definitely cry. And I was like, it's just not been something that I'm used to doing in front of kids because growing up, it's not something that's like, hey, that's okay, or that's masculine, or that's manly. It's, oh, what are you being, a little bitch? What are you crying for? Like, it was never correlated with being, like, strong or a good thing. It was like crying was always a negative.
Oh, yeah, no, dude. I mean, take this, for example. Like, there was a while ago, like, my family and I, like, on Sundays, we always do, like, a family movie night. And we've kind of run out of all the kid movies for my little one to watch with us. And we can go into the other ones, but he gets bored as shit.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I would love to watch, like, the John Wick series with all my kids. Like, I don't give a shit. That movie's fucking awesome. All of them. They're fucking great. Right? But it's just because it's just fucking make-believe. That's all it is. It's just make-believe. It's like playing a video game.
It's over the top. Yeah, it's like
you really don't know how to cast those spells, motherfucker.
No.
Right? So it's okay. It's not reality. No, but I mean, I really appreciate that you're so open with that and being able to be vulnerable that way. As being vulnerable is difficult for us to do because, again, that's pulling us into the reality that we are a part of this, that we truly are.
Well, and allowing someone to see that. Someone else to see that vulnerable side, because everyone's afraid of being hurt.
Yeah.
Everyone's been hurt. Everyone has. I don't know a single person that hasn't been hurt.
Oh, for sure.
And so it's like we're all afraid of being hurt. And what does being vulnerable allow? It allows us to be hurt. Because every time that we have shown up as ourselves, even from being a kid, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. What? Don't be me?
Yeah.
Being me is not okay.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
so then we stop being ourselves because
yeah,
you aren't okay. You should be someone else. You should be someone different to be accepted by society, culture, school,
right.
Wherever. You should be different than that.
And a lot of it, like what you just said, like when somebody's trying to tell you how to be and in not going, okay, well, how does Brandon like to work? How does Brandon like to learn? How does he like to interact with others? How is Brandon going to be the most loving and compassionate when he is like this? That's what you ultimately want to be at. And this is, for me, and I know I keep coming back, but to tell you what it's done for me now, I don't get upset about things that don't require for me to be upset. I catch myself almost instantly before I say something really fucked up. And I will say that. Like, my son really got underneath my skin. I allowed it. Only I can allow my anger and I can allow my pain. And when that started to come at me, I was able to dissect it right then and there because my son, he said something. I'm just like, oh my fuck.
And it just got
I wanted
to
to
you.
lose my shit on him and yell at him. And immediately I met with, because I know his shape, and I go, you're going to judge him. Right now, you are going to judge him with what you're about to say. And if you say that, it's going to really fuck him up. Tell him that you were about to say something fucked up and you're not going that way. And that you're going to talk to him with respect. And I said that out loud. Like instantaneously, that's the thought that came to my head, and I said that to my son. And it perked him right up. And I said, look, I understand that you didn't get that. And hey, everybody makes mistakes, and it's not a big deal. Why don't we move past that? Okay. It's not worth it. Case in point, my son sat on my iPad.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
While we were camping, and it slightly bent it. It cracked the top of this screen, that protective thing, and I'm afraid to take it off because that's usually when it reveals like dead pixels and shit like that. Just the pressure alone.
Huh.
So I'm like, I'm just gonna leave it there. But immediately, take your example. This is your iPad. It's sitting on a chair, clearly not to be sat on. My son wasn't being aware and just sat on it. He didn't know. So I stopped myself and I said, look, it's not worth it for me to get mad at you about this. It's just a thing.
Yeah.
It would suck, but I'm going to let it go. And I let it go. Like instantly, I can control my emotions. And when I realized that, Brandon, holy shit, it changed the game. Now I can be open enough, caring enough to talk to my sons about their unique issues instead of going, I should do something else. Because, and this is just my belief, is that I've been able to see myself in the movie finally. And all I want to make sure is that this main character in my movie is actually involved. How fucking weird would it be to watch this movie where there's the hero or the main character and they don't really fucking do anything?
Yeah, they're just disconnected.
Just moving around. Like if you took your, like back in the day with their jobs, you go somewhere, you do something for hours, and then you leave and go home. Then you follow a routine. You eat, you drink, you smoke, whatever. You watch something, you fuck, or...
Isn't that what most of us do?
I know, right? But now I don't do that. I don't do that because now I'm so aware that I am in this movie. I'm the main character in my movie.
It's like, what do you want this movie to do?
Yeah.
What do you want this movie to be?
Yeah.
Versus like, hey, this movie is happening to me. Or like, I'm just sitting watching this movie, and it's like, I've got VR goggles on, and I'm watching it, but I don't play a role in it. It's just kind of here, and it's happening to me.
And that's why I see like people who are really depressed, and it's not necessarily like I'm making a diagnosis here. This is just a way that I'm trying to contextualize what it means to me. And what it is that there's this realization that they are in the movie, and now all they feel is shame, is hurt, is anger, frustration, all at once.
Or helplessness. Like some people, like...
Yeah, you get to that point with being helpless.
And they look at life and it's like, well, what is the purpose?
Totally.
Why? Like, why do I exist? Why am I here? Is it to go to work, to do this, to like pay my bills so that I can go to sleep so I can wake up tomorrow to do it again? Like, is this my purpose? Is my purpose to be a rat on this wheel to just go? Like, because that's what a lot of it feels like.
Oh, totally.
You know, and it's the monotony. The like everything feels the same because again we fall into these same habits, these same patterns, same routines of like, well, I do this, I got home from work, I did this, I did this, I did this, tomorrow's the same. And what did we set ourselves up for? Well, did we feel happy about what we did that day? Did we feel successful in what we did that day? Are we changing that tomorrow? Or are we doing the same thing?
I think that's where that anxiety starts to come from, is because you start to be aware of who you are and you don't like it. And you're a little upset. And that anxiety just sits there and keeps pushing. Because what is it? I mean, when you're When we're anxious, it usually feels like we're fucking failing, or we're letting people down, or people are going to get really hurt.
Or crazy anxious. Yeah. Or hurt. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like that whole fucking, the grow.
Yeah.
I mean, dude,
Yeah.
we Dick Tracy'd the fuck out of that thing. You went out there, you found out shit, you came back, you told me.
And every discussion with Mike, like I was supposed to be a silent partner that ended up supposedly coming on board because it was, hey, there's no way this is going to go anywhere with what's happening. So,
and my suspicions when I got there were spot on. Like, this guy's trying to embezzle money. That's what he's doing, because I just couldn't understand. When I saw something in the background, like a flywheel, I'm like, is this done in a garage?
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck? And it was, that guy was a really good con man. He was a really good con man that really embarrassed and hurt one of our very good friends.
I hear embarrassed and hurt a lot of people.
He did. But I mean, for that one friend, because he brought so many in, he brought you in.
I just felt bad because he felt bad because I am a really close friend with him.
Yeah.
And he just felt accountable. And I was like, I made my own decisions. I make my own investment decisions. That wasn't your decision to make. It was me going, hey, I saw what you've done. And yeah, we've invested in multiple investments together. And I've seen him in that. So it made sense. Like, all right, well, he's made some of the other ones that I still at the time hadn't turned out, but it was like, yeah, that felt like a really good investment. He's in there too. Yeah, we're really good friends. Like, I'm going to trust this. After I looked through it, read through it, I was like, yeah, this makes sense. Until what they were doing was not what was all promised and on paper of like, this is what's going on. No, it's not.
And just thinking back to that. No, but I mean, for me, and I think that's why it was so great for me to be there in the third person, because I didn't have anything involved.
Yeah, and no horse in the race. It was just
so I could look at it objectively instead of emotionally. And it was the hardest thing to realize. But that whole process is exactly what we're talking about. It's realizing, oh, shit, that's why I feel that way. And when you get to that realization, then it's really freeing.
Yeah, but I think that's where the struggle is. When we feel that way, it gives us two choices. We can make a change and do something different, or we can go to our old habits and patterns and that because, well, now we feel like shit.
Well, and a lot of that comes from us not being honest with ourselves. We do something because of the view that others will take of us, as opposed to what is it? I mean, it's like this, dude. I saw this commercial, this funny video where this girl's like applying for this job, and he's like, "Okay, great. So come in on Monday, and you start at 8 a.m." She goes, 8 a.m.? Are you serious?
You sent me that. It was like I think it was like what it's like to work with Gen Z or something.
Yeah. And it was just, and the guy's like, what? But
he's like, what are you doing at 8 a.m.? She's like, I'm sleeping. I don't even get out of bed until like 9, and I pick up my Starbucks at 10. So I'll be in at like 11.
Yeah. and this is the funny thing. Like, as stupid as it sounded, it also made a lot of sense. When am I most productive? When am I most capable? When do I get the best out of me? Because all of us have some different rhythm that we have with our bodies and time. And we don't all perceive the same time as valuable.
It's true.
Because it's your time, that's where I look at it like, starts to make sense in this very stone mind of mine right now.
You know, it was something interesting that I watched. It was kind of on that line, and it talked about how we've got our best hours or we got like a certain amount of energy, productive energy, best like all of this stuff. And usually what we do is we take that energy and 90% of it goes to our work.
Yeah.
Not our friends, not our family, not our loved ones who actually we care about. It's, hey, I'm going to work to earn this money so that I can provide for my family and all these loved ones and that.
Correct.
But then our best times and our best energy in that gets left at work. And we dedicate it to our work. And then we come back and we give our family that 10% that's left over of this burnt out half-ass energy because, well, we've just wasted and spent our energy and we're worn out, we're exhausted, all at work.
Yeah.
But why does that work need that 100%? Why can't they get the lower energy, the like, hey, I'm here, I'm going to give you that work, I'm going to get it done. But they're not reciprocating that same value.
Well, and that makes me think about the way that you've developed your schedule for you based on your peak hours of feeling that you want to be productive and then times where you don't want to be thinking about it. And I love what you said. We were talking about it and you're like, yeah, I was going through everything and I'm like, okay, I could do this right now. And then I look at my schedule and I go, no, that's later.
Yeah, I have time set aside for that. I don't need to do that.
And so that's another way of being self-aware I thought about. Like, I love what you were doing there, is being self-aware to know that, one, I am not a self-motivated person that just has this checklist in my brain. I need something to look at to make sure that I'm on schedule because that's when I feel productive because it's a check mark that I go, I got that done. And I feel good about that I got that done.
Because otherwise I feel like, and this is how I work, maybe you're the same way. I get the necessaries done. This needs to be done by then. Okay, well, that's done. All of that stuff is done. There's a lot of things that I could do or should do, but I don't accomplish those because there are so many and it feels overwhelming to do all the could and should do's with all the stuff that I need to do's.
Yeah.
And so I don't give myself that because it's, again, feeling overwhelmed, feeling anxious, feeling stressed because it's like, I've got all of this stuff I've got to take care of. I've got, and I'm feeling like I'm lacking here, I'm lacking here, I'm lacking here. How am I supposed to find all of this time, all of this energy, all of this stuff to do this when I'm already feeling overwhelmed? Well, that becomes, and that's when I'm doing one project and my mind's like, oh, what about this? Okay, well, I'm going to start working on this. Oh, well, now I'm in the middle of a project. Like I'm leaving a project mid-project to jump to another project. Like, how productive is that really?
Well, it's because you're trying to get everything done because you have your mind. And it made total sense when you broke it down the way you did, is that for those of us who have a really hard time on being able to stay productive, it usually means that we've not really been honest with ourselves to go, this is how I am productive. And that's the same thing of thinking about in our emotional state in our lives, which improves our brain, which improves our interaction, which improves our ability to be able to do more things. And it's honestly like what you had said, it's being able to, you'd even text me, and I really appreciated it when you text me going, hey, dude, do you mean you giving yourself time? And I paused and I go, probably not. I had to answer real honestly there. That's what I've loved about this Shapes. I'm so fucking honest with myself now. And that's helped me a lot.
Well, because that's the only way we can actually make improvements is being honest with ourselves. Because if we're not honest with ourselves, how are we supposed to truly look in the mirror and go, here's what you could do to change.
Totally.
Here's how you can improve that. Or, look at it, like you said, well, we get stuck in this thing of like, well, now I realize what I'm actually doing and who I am. And I got sad because I realized, shit, that's not who I wanted to be.
Yep. But that's the thing, though. I think that part that's the coolest part, dude, is that now that I'm very self-aware of who I am and why I do the things I do, good or bad, for me, the outcome for me, the good or bad, and not necessarily in the societal sense of saying that's wrong, but this is right?
Yeah.
I think right now in our society, that's so blurred.
Yeah.
So it's in the eye of the beholder. It's in the eye of the beholder what they feel is right and wrong. But at the same time, what's right and wrong for me?
Yeah.
And I love that you've pointed that out. It's you know what? I know how I'm going to be and how I'm not going to be the best for me. Because ultimately, if you're in a good mood and you feel good about yourself and you don't judge yourself really hard, you're in the best mood ever. Nothing takes you down. And you're always looking to help everybody else be in that same mood. That's part of being a circle. You want everybody to be happy around you constantly. And because it's a homeostasis thing. You're not a person that can be like, Oh yeah, if that person in the corner doesn't fucking like me and I invited them to my house, sure, I think that sounds awesome. No, you will feel so uncomfortable. I will see your face. It'll look like you've just shit your pants. It'd be like this, like you wear your emotion on your face.
It was really funny. There was so our friend Ruth has a friend who I think they're ex-military somehow, but they've got some real PTSD. They're transitioning or something. But since they met me, the first time they met me, they thought I was too happy, too charismatic, too outgoing, that I was a serial killer. And they have told Ruth that they don't want to hang out or like be at a party with me because they're afraid that I am a serial killer.
He's the nicest guy. Like, you know, I was teaching him how to throw punches one time, and he told me days after, he's just like, dude, my hands and my bones hurt.
They fucking hurt. They was so, yeah.
And I was just, all I thought right there, I'm like, yeah, that's not the right thing to teach you. Like, it was just like, it just knowing that, like, hey, I'm not down with that. And so when somebody makes that, that's just, I mean, that's hilarious. You know, you should
it was funny.
You should get like, you know, Dexter, right?
Yeah.
You should get one of those like little slides.
Slides.
And then put some blood right there, right? And then send it to him. That's all. You just leave it over there, right? And it just says written on there, "You're next."
Yeah. Oh my gosh,
dude, that'd be hilarious. That'd be so funny.
It makes me laugh because I'm like, what in the world?
Yeah, it's fucking
where
weird.
did that come from?
No, just randomness.
Yeah.
Random.
Just hilarious shit. So if you guys think I'm a serial killer, comment below. And if you haven't, go leave us a review. Yeah, please leave us a review. And yeah, I think we'll have something in there for please leave comments. This has been a lot of fun. And if you want to help support the show, click on the links below. Yeah, we really appreciate that. So until next time,